it's not so much about you as it is about them. And if you really understand your truth, then you do not need that validation from them. It would be so great. And maybe you will get it, but it just means that they have to evolve a little bit more in their way to see you, to see your truth. They're kind of stuck, and maybe you're stuck in some way too, not seeing where they are, but to accept that too. Does that make sense?
It does, and I hear you. I hear you, but I keep thinking like in that moment of hurt, in that moment, I'm kind of more like, F you, you know, because you're in a situation like if I'm triggering something in someone else and they're reacting in a way like a saber-toothed tiger, you know, my emotion is hurt, and it's really hard to almost remove yourself from that to realize, because, you know, again, with all of my feels, all of the feelings that I have, and I'm so sensitive as it is, you know, you feel their anger and hurt on top of your own. It's very, like, overwhelming.
Yeah, because you're being vulnerable, and then someone's stepping on that to show them their boo-boo.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Been there. Why do you think we're talking about this?
So then how would you, in the heat of the moment, in the minute of that pain, or what, like, recommendation would you have if you're in a moment where you're both really in pain and you just feel very passionate and hurt? Yeah. What would you suggest? Because, you know, I don't even know. I usually have to either step away and cry for a minute, get myself together, and come back to it. But, you know, do you have a recommendation?
Well, first of all, there's no harm in crying. Crying is a form of release. It's honest. It's open. It's a tool we have. We are meant to cry. And that's honest. That's honest. You know, you're not suppressing. You're releasing. But if you're seeing that the conversation is just not going where you want it to go, and it's just escalating, you literally have to call a timeout. You know, I hear that you're not able to give me what I need, and it's quite clear that I'm not receptive to what you're doing. You know, it's just, you have to call it out. You have to call it out, and one of my favorite things to say is, if you can observe it, you're not it. If you can call it out and observe it, then it's not controlling you both anymore. You're pointing to it. You're pointing it out so you both can see, and then you can redirect. And you can say, you know what, we're going to stop right now. Because no one can have clarity when their buttons are pushed.
That's a good one, Danielle. No one can have clarity when their buttons are pushed. That is a hard realization right there.
And guess what? We are given opportunity after opportunity, at least for me, to keep perfecting that understanding.
Yeah. We kind of get a lot of those, don't we?
Yeah. I am sure I will have one more opportunity to practice what I'm preaching very soon.
Yes. And if you have children and lots of family members, yes.
Yeah.
Lots of practice.
Yeah, lots of practice. There will be abundant opportunities for me to ace and nail this test. So I will let you know when I have. And as soon as I have, I'll get an even harder test. Because that's how life works. But the other thing I wanted to share, too, I don't know if you're familiar with improv. It's a form of comedy. Probably our favorite comics of all time started off learning improvisation, like Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Bill Murray. All the great comics were taught this school of comedy, which is, improv is, you're creating scenes that are not planned. And you basically, it's not like short-term improv where you thought whose line is in any way, where they throw out a location and they throw out a character. You are literally starting out a scene with nothing.
Oh my
So
God.
all you have is listening to your partner. So if you start a scene, for example, my improv teacher, Brad, who is now has this amazing Push Comedy Theater in Ghent with all these great improv shows, he would use this example that if he's walking into the scene and he has this idea and he's holding a sword, and then the partner in his scene comes out and says, "Oh, I love all the balloons you're holding. Are you going to a birthday party? You need to change your scene." I mean, yes, it's Sally's 6-year-old birthday. You have to just change your scene. And so the first technique you learn in improv is you hear the other person, and then you say yes, but you always, always, always have to have an and. So this applies to hearing you. So when someone says, you say something to you, you open up your heart. The best thing to do is to say, I hear you, and. Because if you don't have that and with something to add, are you really hearing them? So, and that can work in the most heated of moments and the most mundane. Because if you're in a heated moment and you're about to lose it, you can say, this is not working, and we're going to talk about this later.
Huh. And so instead of not but, not or.
Yeah.
Because it's always a but. With me, it's always a but. Well, blah, 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 but I'm obviously know everything and I'm right and I'm perfect and you are a moron. Like that's where my end comes at the end.
Yes.
And you are wrong, you know.
Yes. Yes, and you're an idiot. Yes. No, I don't think in the improv technique when they say use and, you're giving your partner an opportunity. You're giving them something to use. So if you just, for example, what not to do in improv is not to be agreeable. Like if someone comes in and says, hello, President Obama, how was your day today? And he says to you, I'm not the president, I'm the janitor. This guy's an asshole. I mean, he's not doing the improv. He's not going along with what his partner's saying. Instead of saying, yes, did you, do all the debriefing for Iran? I don't know, whatever hot topic it is.
I notice how that shifts that actually shifts the mood. Rather than throwing that person under the bus, you're saying, no, I see you.
Yes. You're acknowledging them, and you're going with the flow, and that technique can be applied to all of our lives.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could just acknowledge and go with the flow, everyone could do that, life would be so much easier because we wouldn't personalize.
Yeah.
And we would just come from this understanding that things go up and down, and he's triggered because something might have happened today, and it's not me, and I'm not going to jump in with that.
Yeah.
Now, listen, that is a lot easier said than done, but if we can just start to have that awareness where I don't have to bite the bait, and I can yes and in a positive way, it's better for me. Because what happens? Then we get heated and angry, and we can't function for an hour.
Yes.
I mean, at least for me.
Well, it might be a couple days for me. I mean,
yes, exactly. So it takes so much time because first you're living it, and then you share it with a girlfriend or a parent or a sibling or a sister or and then you have to live it again.
Yes.
And then it just takes hours out of your day.
Yeah, it does.
And you look how much time we're giving to this.
Yeah, and well, not only time, but your health, honestly.
Yeah.
You're raising your blood pressure, stress.
Yes.
You're giving a lot.
And you're not being productive in the things that you want to be productive in. You're giving your power away. Mm-hmm. So, if anything, do it for your own sake.
Mm-hmm. For your own health, for your own... Yeah. You know what I find interesting on top of all of this was, and I'll do this one last thing because we're getting close to running out of time, is communication. So there's a whole, and correct me if I'm wrong, Danielle, because I'm not a professional in communication, but from what I understand, there's a whole body language, there's the eye contact, and I had just actually watched a movie called The Power of the Heart. I don't know, have you seen that?
No. What's that?
I would recommend you watching that, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it, because it talks about how intelligent the heart is. Because when you think of intelligence, you think of your brain, right?
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking of my small intestines too, because I had heard somewhere that, you know,
they call it the small brain. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not totally crazy. Maybe just a little. So the heart actually, you know, it emits this electromagnetic, every time it beats, it emits this electromagnetic pulse, you know. And so what's interesting in this movie is they're talking about the science behind how when your heart pumps, it pumps out a signal of joy, happiness, fear, out. So if another person is by you, their heart will pick up on your pulse, on your electromagnetic emotion, or whatever you want to call it.
Wow. They're able to prove this scientifically now?
Yes. So the company that's working on this is called HeartMath. Right,
and they were in the movie I Am. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I saw it there, but it's also in The Power of the Heart. So, you know, you always think of the heart, and maybe I'm off base here, but you always think of the heart as kind of like it's not logical. It's like always off running, skipping through the field, catching fireflies or whatever.
Or it's broken.
Yeah.
Right.
That there's no intelligence behind it. But when I saw this and I saw the research behind it, it makes a lot of sense. When, you know, when you go into a room and you say you can feel people's vibes, well, maybe you're feeling their heart vibes. Like the tension.
Oh, I mean, listen, it is so true when you walk by when you walk into a room and you can feel the energy is high or low or positive, that's energy. And if it's coming from the heart, and when science is able to further hone in on this, then that's great.
Yeah, no, and I was really, so there's just all these different ways to communicate.
Yeah.
You know, I just thought it was really amazing. So even just taking a moment, I guess this is where I was going down this rabbit hole. If you're in a moment where it's a heated argument or it's a really tense situation, taking the time to remove yourself, calm down your body physiologically, I would just think that would contribute to furthering the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Furthering the conversation later on when you get back together and you're coming from that calm space on your body, that other person's body isn't picking up on your high stress.
Yes. I think you're really underscoring exactly what we're talking about, that you cannot think clearly when your buttons are pushed. Yeah. And if your heart is racing a mile a minute, you are not in a space to really be heard.
Yeah.
Because you are in fight or flight.
Yes. Which
you're in survival mode.
The other person's heart could pick up on that shit as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we're actually running out of time here, Danielle. If you could go ahead, and if you have some things coming up that you'd like to share with listeners, or
yes, I wanted to plug our event again with Minnie Adamos this weekend in Virginia Beach at the DoubleTree Inn. I like to say that if anyone has ever been curious as to the different types of healing modalities that have been around for thousands of years, this is your chance to explore. And I'm going to be there. I'll be signing my children's series and signing up people for the next groups for Let's Be Honest, which are open for registration, and they begin in February, and the spots are already filling, which I'm so excited about.
I'm not surprised.
And you're going to be there, and so did you want to see the details and also say what you'll be doing?
Yes. There's actually a Reiki certification tomorrow. I'm not sure if we still have slots left, but definitely contact myself or Mindy, Psychic Medium Mindy. She's on Facebook, SpiritHopeLoveExperience.com. So if you're interested in a Reiki certification for $99, come on, check us out tomorrow. And then there's also healing, all kinds of chakra awesomeness, just the whole weekend of getting together. Mindy and her sister Stacy, who is a healer, one of my favorite healers, will be giving messages, mini readings, that kind of a thing. So, yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to the event.
Wonderful.